Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting through my website, emailrevealer.com, or just email me directly at oppermaninvestigations.com. At gmail.com. Also, too, if you like the show, you can check out OppermanReport.com. That's where we have our members section. You can go there, find 250 exclusive shows you won't find anywhere on the internet or online anywhere. But our archives are always free. You go to Spreaker.com. You sign up for free, and you get our archives up there. You can find all kind of 1,700, 1,800 hours worth of shows up there. Today, fascinating topic, but wish we didn't have to do this kind of show. We have Jeffrey D. Harvey, who's an attorney for the Community Legal Services of Mid-Florida. That is, the website is clsmf.org. Mr. Harvey, are you there?
I am here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Before we get into the Community Legal Services of Mid-Florida, can you tell us about yourself? Who is Jeffrey Harvey?
Yeah, sure. So currently I'm the CEO of the organization. I was born and raised in Central Florida, spent about 10 years on active duty in the Army as an artillery officer, and just spent another almost 10 years in the Florida National Guard. Most recently, just 2 weeks ago, left command of a field artillery battalion out of Lakeland, and I'm a person that's motivated by mission and helping the community. So I think I am in the right organization.
Do you have a private practice besides what you do here?
I do not. So we have about 120 staff members, roughly 60 attorneys. We're in 12 different counties with 11 or 12 offices. Right now, we're all working remote, so running this organization is my full-time job.
And how is clsfm.org funded?
CLSMF and .org and Community Legal is a good just abbreviation.
Yeah.
Community Legal Services. I know it can be a mouthful.
Yeah.
We receive various types of funding from anywhere from private donations to a majority of our funding, which comes from government grants and government appropriations. So many people don't know this, but Congress gives a direct appropriation to a company, a nonprofit that was founded by the federal government called the Legal Services Corporation, and they fund organizations like mine that provide civil legal assistance in every single one of the 54 states and territories across the United States. So that is a majority of our funding. That's about 50%. And then the other 50% comes from a whole variation of things, from special grants through the Department of Justice or the Department of Housing to funding from particular counties that we operate in.
Yeah, you offering a wide variety of services. Can you give us an idea of what the kind of services Community Legal Services does?
Yeah, so we really try to first and foremost figure out what the needs of the community are, and then do everything that we possibly can to meet those needs. We are limited to civil legal assistance, so that's no criminal law right off the bat. But from there, if you think about just about any type of law that people would be interested in or need, we provide some assistance. So we do housing work. A lot of our housing work is related to evictions and foreclosures. We also have a unit that focuses on trying to preserve and create affordable housing. We have a consumer unit that deals primarily with consumer debt and clients that have consumer debt issues that are, creditor harassment, those types of things. We have a family law unit that spends the majority of their time focusing on victims of domestic violence. And we, as we like to say, kind of get them safe and then keep them safe. So, you start out with a domestic violence injunction, and then you kind of move from there in terms of the family law spectrum, just get the person stable and really protected. We have we call a public benefits unit, and they work on Social Security, disability. They do food stamp work. They do VA benefits. We have trying to think if I've left anybody out here. We have what's called a medical legal partnership, and they're really a little bit more broad than the other units. It's not more of a specific area of law, but what they do is they partner with specific medical clinics. And it's been determined and proven really that when you look at what the medical community calls the social determinants of health, does the person in stable housing, does the person have adequate income, those types of things, oftentimes, if there are issues there, it is causing health issues. And the solution for those things aren't medical issues, they're legal issues. And so we partner with medical clinics and actually kind of practice as if we were one of the medical staff, diagnosing legal problems and then going and trying to treat those by through legal action. So we also have a senior unit, an elder unit that does specifically work for senior citizens, and they much like the other areas of law, elder law is kind of the same, but then again, it's a broad spectrum, and there are a lot of different provisions that usually are there to benefit seniors that are kind of different than normal law. So in addition to those types of things, there's also the standard wills and powers of attorney and healthcare surrogacy and those types of things. So it's really a wide variety.
Absolutely, and people should check out the calendar of events. I noticed the next big online event you have is a legal clinic, Legal Advice for Seniors. Talk with a Lawyer on September 1st, 2020 at 10 a.m. So people should make yourself available that service. What's the biggest issue right now facing mid-Florida? So
the biggest issue, I would say, facing Central Florida right now was affordable housing. And there's just not enough of it. But as we find ourselves kind of moving through this new normal, the pandemic, it is quickly becoming housing at all. And really, when it comes down to it right now, I think Florida is getting ready to get hit with a tsunami of evictions. We estimate just in one county alone, you're looking at somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 evictions that we're expecting to be filed in the first 30 days, and we won't know the full extent of the damage until the tsunami hits. So that's a big concern. Florida is a very pro landlord state, and not that there's anything wrong with that from the standpoint of that there are people that provide housing for people, but when you run into these types of issues where people are having trouble with income because of the pandemic. People are losing jobs. Places are shutting down. They're going to, reducing hours. That affects income, and once that affects income, then that affects the ability to pay for housing, and then once that affects the ability to pay for housing, next thing you know, you're homeless. And so I think evictions, would say right now is the biggest next step. Anytime you deal with a natural disaster, and we're treating this just like a natural disaster, and we're no stranger to hurricanes. But unlike a hurricane where there's a visible damage and then there's a visible progression, this is an invisible thing that you're really not quite sure if you're affected or infected or not. And again, but like a natural disaster, there's a pretty clear pattern of the legal issues that come up. In a hurricane, for example, the first thing you start dealing with is people that are trying to deal with their homes and food, access to food and access to shelter, because those are the things that get destroyed by the hurricane. But once the system starts working, then you start to see issues with insurance and consumer debt and foreclosures, because now, somebody chose to skip their 3 mortgage payments so that they could pay their insurance deductible to get their house fixed, but didn't realize that they had to pay all 4 payments at the end of that 3-month time period. And we see the very same thing right now. I think we're going to see the very same thing with the pandemic. So the first thing became loss of income. Now we're getting ready to see evictions, and that's going to become a big problem. And then I think the next thing we'll start to see is people dealing with foreclosures and people dealing with unemployment, and just that'll be a continuing one. And then eventually you'll get down to the consumer stuff where somebody tried to take advantage of the situation and give somebody a deal that was too good to be true. And usually if it's too good to be true, it is. So but right now it's evictions.
Well, but let me ask you this, because a lot of people listening to this will say, well, what are you talking about, Mr. Harvey? I saw President Trump sign an executive order preventing evictions.
Yeah, so
he said it.
Evictions, it's a state law thing, yeah. And while there has been a lot of prohibitions from the state, there's the moratorium that's been going on, which in a lot of ways helped, and in a lot of ways it kind of got us to the point now where this wave is going to hit us all at once. The federal government only has so much power when it comes to some of these things, and so if you're talking federally subsidized housing, absolutely, because the federal government's ability to enforce that is we're going to yank away the subsidy, we're going to take away the money. But when it comes to the state law, private landlord-tenant work, it's a state issue. It's not a federal issue, and so evictions, by and large, cannot be prevented. They can be helped, they can be supplemented, they can be kind of deterred, but they can't be prevented.
Well, I know here at Manatee County, where we're on WWPR, that the landlord can go to the courthouse and get an eviction, but that the court is not issuing summonses and the marshal is not doing the evictions.
Yeah, so that's a good point. The system is slowing down a little bit. We've had a lot of conversations directly and indirectly with the judiciary, and the way Florida law is written, the judge doesn't really have any discretion to slow the case down. If it's a non-payment of rent issue and the tenant does not post that rent in the registry of the court, some rent of any kind, even if they're objecting to the amount and ask the court to determine if the amount due is correct, there's no discretion, the judges believe, typically, that they have to issue a final judgment at the end of those 5 days. The problem is, yes, summonses aren't getting served, or even better, writs of possession aren't getting served, but that's too late. You're on record as having an eviction, and so at some point when you get kicked out, you're not going to be able to go get another place to rent, because when they do the check, they're going to say, well, you just got evicted from your last place. Why do we think you should be a good bet? And so, the big thing here is to avoid the eviction altogether. And so one of the things we've been encouraging people to do is, if you're having trouble, go reach out to your landlord. We're working on a program right now in Orange County with the county, with the County Bar Association and the other local legal aid, the Legal Aid Society, the Orange County Bar, on an eviction diversion program. The county has set aside about $20 million in CARES funding to help pay back rent for people that have the ability to pay something going forward, and then that really just becomes a negotiation between the landlord and the tenant. And the thing about it is, very much like a run on the stock market, right? If people panic and say, no, I want them out, I want to get a new tenant, it's so massive. The amount of people that are affected by this is so massive. You kick everybody out, all of a sudden, you're going to have a whole bunch of people that are homeless that aren't rentable. You can't rent to them, and that's going to drive the price of the price of the rentals down. Right. And so inevitably it's going to end up hurting the entire community at once. So we're hoping that this program, which really I think it's pretty well, I think, constructed. I'm worried that it's going to run out of money pretty quick because there's going to be so many people affected, but I'm hopeful that we'll do the best we can with it. But it really is based on this premise that everybody's got to have to deal a little bit. So maybe the landlord has to take a little bit less than they had anticipated, but they get to keep a stable tenant in there that will continue to pay. That's kind of the goal here. So I think the program right now is providing up to $4,000 of back rent. To qualify, you have to be at least, of course, you have to be an Orange County resident for this particular program we're working on, but you have to be at least 2 months behind, and you have to demonstrate some ability to pay going forward. So one of the things that's key there is that you do have some income of some kind, and that's where we come in, and I think that we do a really good job. Is not only do we deal with evictions, but we also deal with public benefits. So you actually may be entitled to unemployment, you may be entitled to Social Security, disability, and those types of things. Not only are we going to get in and look at your eviction case, but we're going to bring you in and also see what other resources are available for you to kind of get you back on your feet. All with the goal of trying to preserve your housing, because once we can kind of get over this hump, ride the waves that are flatten the curve, however you want to call it, we think the community will be better because of it.
Yeah, but is your organization able to help all the people who need the services? You must turn down a lot of people, right? Because the way the organization's set up, we're really meant to serve kind of the poorest of the poor. Right. We've got income thresholds of who we can assist. And so we have a website, and the website has a ton of information, legal information on it, and I've purposely worked with the staff to make it easy to understand. The law can be very confusing, and we start throwing in terms in there that people don't get, like, somebody's going to talk about a divorce, the first thing they're going to think about is custody. Who's get custody? Well, the legal term isn't custody, it's time sharing. So,
you can really quickly get lost in terminology. We've tried very hard to make the website easy to understand, and so the people that don't meet the low income criteria level that we can assist. My hope is that they have some money that they can work with a lawyer, but if they can't, at least there's a resource that they can go to free of charge, and they can get educated on what their rights are. They can get educated on things to consider before they take an action. And as a really good example, when it comes to this eviction stuff, we would encourage anybody, client or not, go talk to your landlord. Go let your landlord know what's going on and try to make a deal. Because when it comes down to it, you had an original agreement, and the terms have to change in order to prevent catastrophe for really both parties, in my opinion. So for as far as turn down goes, you say how many we turned down? Probably a third of the people that reach out to us, we aren't able to assist, and that is usually because they are unqualified for our services, which means that they're over the 200% of the poverty level, and really aren't, the low income. But there are some other resources out there too that we can refer them to, and we typically do that.
What would you advise the average family down here, let's say in Manatee County, if they're not in Orange County where you are, they get an eviction notice, or the landlord comes by and serves them some notice, say 30 days, either pay or quit. We're going to serve you with an eviction then. Should they make an offer and compromise to the landlord?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd use the technical term offer and compromise, but yeah, absolutely. They should talk to the landlord and say, hey, listen, here's my situation. Here's what I can do. I can't do any more, and ideally get that new agreement or new arrangement in writing. And my hope is that a lot of the landlords know what's going on, and they know what the bigger issues are, and that this could really lead to something as big as the 2008 foreclosure crisis, or even bigger. And so that those landlords should work. But it doesn't hurt to talk to your landlord. You don't lose anything by going and saying, here's my situation, and I need to work something out. The worst they can tell you is no, and you're no better off than you were when you started. But and you mentioned Manatee County, so I'm just looking up real quick. There is a program just like mine in every county in all 54 states and territories. And so because you have a lot of listeners in Manatee, I'd like to give you the...
Oh, great. Yeah, Manatee, Sarasota, Hillsborough, Pinellas.
Yeah, so actually when you talk about that, so in Florida right now there are 7 programs like mine, and that does not include all the local county level legal aid. So you have Bay Area Legal Services, and Bay Area Legal Services covers, where is it exactly?
It's called Bay Area Legal Services?
Bay Area Legal Services, yeah. Their website is www.bals.org. And they cover Hillsborough, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, and Sarasota.
Excellent.
You've got Florida Rural Legal Services. A good friend of mine, Executive Director Jaffe Pickett. Their website is www.FRLS. That stands for Florida Rural Legal Services.org. And they cover Charlotte, DeSoto, Glades, Hardy, Hendry, Highlands, Indian River, Lee, Martin, Okeechobee, Palm Beach, Polk, and St. Lucie counties.
Well, that's great. So we have BALS.org and FRLS.org, and also your group, too. If anybody were to email you and say, hey, I live in this county, can you direct me to which local county here can help me? I'm sure that your office can help them. Yeah, that would be the best way to handle that. Yeah.
Yep. As a matter of fact, we're part of a statewide kind of project where if you go to our website, and at the very top of the website, it has a little tab that says Get Help. Yeah. You can go in there and you can look up all the legal information that you might be interested in. And I always encourage people to do that anyway, so that when they get on the phone with the attorneys, they're a little bit more knowledgeable of what it is that they're dealing with. But if you go down to the bottom of the page, now I'm trying to find it. We have an online intake system, and in the online intake system, you are able to, as a matter of fact, I think I have to go to one of the topic pages to get there. That's right, one of the topic pages to get there. So there's a thing that says start the process, check your eligibility. It takes you to a statewide shared resource, and I think the second question that they ask you, besides, what language do you prefer, is what county are you in? And that will immediately get you to the right place that services your county. So it's a great system. It was actually started by the Legal Services of Greater Miami, who, of course, takes care of Miami-Dade County. So, but there is a resource like this out there for everybody. So it doesn't hurt to ask, and at the minimum, you can get some legal information and try to help you through your problem.
Now, let me ask you this, because you have your ear to the ground on this topic. Is there any chance that when this flood of court filings comes up, which is like September 1st, right, that maybe Governor DeSantis will say, whoa, made a mistake here, and come up with a new plan?
You never know. You never know how that works. On one hand, it prevents like I said, the tsunami from hitting. On the other hand, just the longer it goes on, the tsunami gets bigger. And so, there are a decent number of landlords that also have to worry about paying mortgages and those types of things. And so, it's really, anything can happen.
No, but isn't there some kind of a difference if the landlord's mortgage is federally backed? Is some kind of a distinction there?
With respect to the eviction?
Yeah, with the moratorium. No?
I could be wrong. What I do know is that if there's federal subsidies, that absolutely is prevented. Federally backed mortgages, that I think there might be a foreclosure forbearance on the landlord, but that does not necessarily mean that the landlord still doesn't have other bills to pay if that they need the money.
Yeah, I think that ran out anyway, yeah. Now, I just came from Nevada. It's interesting, before you were talking about how you help people get on SSDI, because I did a lot of criminal defense back in Nevada, and so many times you're in the courtroom and the people have mental illness. It's their problem. They're being sex trafficked themselves, or they're out on the street, they have drug addiction, and they need Medicaid and they need SSDI, and that would be a lifesaver for these people. So this is a service you can help people with, that I could refer people to you that need to get on SSDI?
Absolutely.
Now, but isn't it almost impossible down in Florida here to get on Medicaid or SSDI?
I wouldn't say it's almost impossible. When we get people on those pretty frequently, and I can get some better statistics for you if you give me a minute to pull it up. But it's not impossible. No.
I'm under the impression, though, that you can't get on Medicaid unless you have a disability.
That's not an area that I practice in. So I can, I do a lot of real estate work, but I can get that answer if you give me 1 second.
Well, let's take a commercial break. It's a good time to take a break. We're talking right now to attorney Jeffrey D. Harvey, and he's from the clsmf, the clsmf.org, which is the Community Legal Services of Mid-Florida. We'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. We're talking today to Attorney Jeffrey D. Harvey from the organization Community Legal Services of Mid-Florida. The website is clsmf.org. But if you're in Manatee County, you can check out bals.org or Florida Rural Legal, which is frls.org. So, Mr. Harvey, you were looking up some statistics for us about Medicaid and...
Yeah, I was just trying to see what I could pull up in terms of what we did last year, and it's loading. I do know that we have helped a number of people, a significant number of people, get on SSDI and get qualified for Medicaid over the last year. So, I mean, back to your original question was, is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. I will tell you that... as a CEO, while I am a practicing attorney and I do generally the more complicated real estate matters for the firm, that's the benefits area is one that I don't really practice in. And so, you know, if you're interested, one of the things we could potentially do is look at having a couple of my experts on in particular areas, and we can go to more depth if that would be helpful for your client base.
Absolutely.
Your listener base.
Now, yeah. One of your other services you offer is debt and creditors. What do you offer in that area? So,
you know, the law is kind of based on the idea that it doesn't matter if you've paid your bills or not. There are certain things that people just can't do. So if you think about it logically, right, just because you haven't paid your credit card bill doesn't mean somebody can shoot you, right? That's illegal. Well, that whole list of things that they can't do is a little bit more broad than one would think. So, you know, creditors are not allowed to call you at work. Creditors are not allowed to send disparaging or threatening letters. They're not allowed to do threatening phone calls. And there are certain things that if they're trying to collect on their debt and they're trying to do something like repossess a vehicle or, you know, you can see this in foreclosures, right, repossess a home, they've got to follow certain steps. And if they don't follow those steps, not only can it prevent them from getting recovery, it actually makes them at times liable for damages back to the debtor. And so we've had a number of cases where a person would owe, let's say, $5,000 on a credit card, and they just got to a place where they couldn't pay, and they would get calls at all hours of the night over and over again from the debt collector trying to collect the debt. Well, that's illegal. And so we've got a number of pro bono attorneys, volunteer attorneys that will take those cases at no cost, because you turn around and you file an action against the debt collector, and you can actually recover money, and it will pay attorney's fees. And so we deal with a lot of people that get into financial trouble and need to have somebody protect them from the harassment when it comes down to it. So we also offer some kind of side assistance with that when it comes to credit counseling and debt counseling and getting your credit report cleaned up and kind of understanding good budgeting. And those things are important because, we can go stop the harassment, but that's not going to stop the root cause, which is how did you get there in the first place, and how can you get yourself out of it? And so I'm glad that we can provide that.
What about, I see so often, what about bankruptcy? Do you handle bankruptcy for people too as well?
We do. We do handle bankruptcies. Our bankruptcy practice is typically limited to what's called a Chapter 7, which is a complete liquidation. But we do have, on a few occasions, we'll do Chapter 13s, and a lot of times that's usually when somebody has a home that they're trying to preserve. And that is definitely one option to go to as well. But when we get callers, it's funny, when we get people that call and ask for assistance, they'll usually call first and ask for bankruptcy. And when you look at their income and you look at what assets they have, they're not even collectible. So a bankruptcy might not even be worth their time. What they're really looking for is to have somebody stop harassing them. And so we've got both those tools at our disposal, and we are able to help with both of those things.
Yeah, exactly. I remember there was this chop shop type attorney service back in Vegas who did nothing but bankruptcies. And I went over there once. There was a line out the door. Just everybody gets a bankruptcy today. And people are going in there with the credit card debt, stuff beyond the statute of limitations. But no, sign up for the bankruptcy. Get one right now. I tell you. So definitely I would advise people to seek out an organization like this that's not looking at the bottom line and not looking to fill their own pockets just by selling bankruptcies.
Yep, and there's like you said, past the statute of limitations, right? They can't collect. They can't. As a matter of fact, that's against the law. And so, in those circumstances, not only do you not have to pay the money back, that person probably owes you money because they're breaking the law. And so, there's a lot of times where people just don't realize those types of things. And there are a lot of credit counseling agencies and entities out there. I've had one of my family members even was. Had some trouble, and not in the state of Florida, and reached out to what they believe to be a debt counseling service. And those debt counseling services can oftentimes be a little bit of a scam. They're looking to make a buck. They end up negotiating your debts out for you. They take a large portion for themselves, and they ruin your credit score. And so it's really important when you look at those types of things to make sure that you're getting a reputable company, and you can usually tell based on the way the company gets paid. And so, in our situation, all our stuff comes from federal and state grants and donations. So, it's not like we're taking a piece of your debt and benefiting it from that way. And so I think it's important for people to know that.
You were telling me before we started the show, you were telling me about the medical legal partnership. What's that?
So medical legal partnerships, we have created partnerships with a number of entities because, and this has been studied nationally, and it's actually been very effective in some of the New England states as well as in Washington State. We have determined, and statistics have shown, that people's physical health is related to what's called the social determinants of health. And the social determinants of health usually have to do with, there's an acronym we use called iHealth, and that's income and housing and their economic situation, their family living situation, all of these types of things. So let's take the typical example of a person who keeps coming in the doctor's office with chronic asthma. That could very well have been caused by an environmental condition, and that environmental condition could be they're living in an apartment with mold. So in that instance, the doctor can fix the symptom, but they can't cure the problem. And so the approach that we take is that there are some things that have medical effects that are really legal problems that need to be solved. And so we will take lawyers and embed them with the medical team, and they almost operate, they're not doctors, but they almost operate like a doctor on the medical team. Just like you would refer somebody to orthopedics, you refer somebody to the lawyer to take a look at some of these social determinants of health, these environmental factors and things that could be impacting your health. And what we've shown through these partnerships is it not only gets people healthier, but it ends up saving the medical facilities a lot of money, because you're either getting somebody on Medicare or Medicaid, and now all of a sudden the hospital's getting paid for something that they wouldn't otherwise do, or you're stopping repeat visits for the same thing over and over again, because it isn't something that medicine can take care of, but rather something that's an environmental issue or a life circumstance issue. And so we have found that allows us to, one, take the services directly to potential clients where the clients are, but also it's been a really strong partnership. So right now we've got a partnership with a small nonprofit medical facility, Grace Medical Home. They're located here in Orlando. We've also got a partnership right now with the West Volusia Hospital Authority, and we're working with them in terms of helping out their kind of most indigenous population. And we've been in talks with a couple of the larger regional hospitals, Florida Hospital and Moores, those types of things, to maybe try to put something together with them as well. A couple of years ago, Florida Hospital did a project with the county, and I think one of the major banks was involved in funding this too, where they said, if we just take our top 100 repeat emergency room visits where we know that people are homeless and we put them in housing, it'll cost us 1/3 of the price as what it would otherwise have cost us to see these people through the emergency room. And it really follows the same concept. But unlike that situation where they took their 100 highest utilizers and tried to fix the problem by putting them in housing, what we really try to do is, rather than cure the problem, we really try to find a way to, for lack of a better word, inoculate them from the problem, or give them the vaccine. Identify those things early enough before they become chronic issues and you become the top 100 utilizers, and head it off from the beginning. And again, it makes people healthier, it makes people happier, and I think it saves everybody a lot of money.
Oh, no, it's so true. If we could just treat drug addiction, free drug addiction, and free therapy and rehab and stuff like that, and free mental health treatment. I've just seen this revolving door of the jails in Vegas, where they'll let these people out. They put them on meds when they're inside, but then they'll let them out, dump them down there, downtown Las Vegas, no meds, and they're back under arrest in 24 hours, trying to score dope. It's just a horrific situation. Let me ask you this, though. How many attorneys you said you have working for you?
Approximately 60.
60. Now, do they also have a private practice, or this is their sole practice?
So we've got about 24 or so that are part-time. And if they're part-time, they have private practices outside. Some are part-time because of their family situation and they want to still practice. But and this gives them a viable option to do that. Some are part-time because, like you said, they have private practices outside. And then the rest are full-time. They're full-time staff attorneys that work for the firm. But we also really heavily invest in pro bono. And there's been a lot of talk about pro bono recently in the state of Florida because of the task force that the Supreme Court appointed to look at IOTA funding and how IOTA funding works. And I know recently the Florida Bar Foundation, I think, as a result of some of that stuff, has dismantled, or I think if they haven't dismantled, they've kind of ended, at least temporarily, their pro bono program. But when you look at the profession and the practice of law, we are all required to contribute to the public good. I mean, there's been quotes by Justice O'Connor that kind of basically relates to us as the gatekeepers of justice, and it's our responsibility to not only advocate for our clients but advocate for the public good. And so that comes down into pro bono. That comes down into helping those that otherwise wouldn't have help. And so we have a great pro bono team. It's a group of attorneys and non-attorneys that work with the community and work with lawyers to try to get people to take some of these cases and really kind of expand our staff from the 60 lawyers that we have on staff to 260 or 360 lawyers that we have in the greater Central Florida area, the 12 counties that we work in. And once you kind of get doing pro bono, you can see the mindset of those lawyers change on how they approach it. And it really provides a good feeling for those lawyers. They really kind of get to feel the benefits of the public service aspect of their profession. And a lot of lawyers will tell you that they feel like all they do is they're beholden to the billable hour, and it's all about money, and practicing, I think it's expensive, but if you want a relief from that, pro bono, man, that's the way to do it. So I encourage anybody who's listening that is interested in helping out to talk to your local legal aid, and we're happy to work with you. And based on the stuff of the pandemic, we're doing a lot of remote stuff too. So you can be a lawyer in Manatee County, and while I would encourage you to go make a connection with Bay Area Legal Services, you can also connect with us, and you can do stuff remote. So.
Excellent. And also, you help with starting a business?
We do. We have an economic development unit, and so that unit does a couple of things. One, they're really trying to find ways to expand affordable housing. When somebody wants to come in and build affordable housing, it's usually a three-party type of transaction where you've got a developer, you've got a nonprofit, and you've got a major funder, usually the government, right, that's trying to help kind of put this together. And somebody's got to represent the nonprofit. So we usually do it in that circumstance. But then outside of that, we do a lot of nonprofit advisement work. So if someone's trying to start a nonprofit, or if they've got some issues with the way their nonprofit's organized, those are all public good entities, and we're trying to make sure that they stay stable for the betterment of the community. And then you've got a lot of low-income people that have great ideas or have a really strong work ethic, and they just want to have a business, and they want to work. They want to work hard. And the saddest thing to see is somebody who actually gets, let's say they start a lawn mowing business and they get it up off the ground, and then all of a sudden one day they make a mistake and it damages some property. Well, if their business isn't set up properly, that could become a catastrophic issue for them. And so for those that qualify for our assistance, yes, we do. We help them set up the business. We help them do with the articles. While we don't provide insurance of any kind, we definitely give them advice as to how that stuff works and encourage them to go do that and get themselves protected so that they can continue to make a better life for themselves while at the same time mitigate some of the risks.
No, and now the people who want to start a nonprofit, you wouldn't check their income, right? They would, a person with a decent income could come in and you'd help them out?
No, unfortunately, we have a pretty strict limitation on income stuff. So,
gotcha.
If it's pre-incorporation, it would be based on the individual's income. If it's post-incorporation, it would be based on the entity's income. So let's say they went online and they started it with Sunbiz and it's them and a partner, right? Well, now we can represent the business. If the business really has no operating capital or limited funds or can show that they are unable to afford an attorney, then we do have some ability to assist there.
What area of problems in Florida do you see that you would love to be able to help, but that you're not doing, you can't? Can you think of something like that?
Yeah, I would say one that comes to mind right now is guardianships.
Okay. Oh.
And probates. So in guardianships, it becomes really difficult, and a lot of it's a resource issue. Most people that qualify for our assistance probably also don't qualify to serve as somebody's guardian. There are pretty strict guidelines, and I understand why. You're trying to protect people as to who can serve as a guardian. There's also a lot of medical requirements. You got to go see the panel of doctors, and you got to get basically determined by the court to be, not of fit mind. And it just becomes from a cost effectiveness standpoint something that we just are not able to get into. You know, if we had a network of people that could provide those services at no cost, we might be able to work through that. But then you still run into the issue of, you know, there's a person that needs a guardianship. Is there a person qualified to serve as the guardian? And that's where we have a problem. You know, we have done some work for public guardians in the past where we have represented them. But even when you look at the legislative and the funding scheme as it relates to that type of thing, there is no specific money set aside for the lawyer. And unfortunately, in a guardianship, you must have a lawyer. And so it's not even something that we could just coach them on and let them do themselves. It's a legal requirement, but it's not a funded legal requirement, even when you go through the public guardianship process. So I think the other area is, like I said, probates, that we've seen a couple of circumstances where we've got somebody who is, by all rights, at the lower end of the income level. They are, you know, we call them poor. They're poor. And a relative has died, and they need to be a part of the probate process so that they can get access to those resources, and it actually makes them, you know, better off. And where we've run into some issues with that is just that, depending on the circumstances, it ends up putting us in a situation where we just don't have the resources to help. So we typically, if there are some substantial resources in there, we find a good volunteer attorney that's interested in helping somebody out, we will, you know, we'll refer that out to a volunteer. But, you know, a lot of times, even when it comes to something like the short probates, you know, where you can do the administrative form, because all you're trying to get is somebody had a bank account with $600 in it. Mm-hmm. I can have somebody who has no income and have a brother that died with a bank account with $600 and a valid will, and they're going to go to the clerk's office, and they're going to try to file one of those short probates where they don't need an attorney, and the clerk's still not going to waive the filing fee, even though the person, by all rights, should have the filing fee waived because of their indigency status, because the clerk's also looking at the asset saying, well, you have this asset, but they don't have the asset yet because they haven't gone through the court process. And we've run into that issue a couple of times with some county clerks where they will refuse to waive the filing fee for the client. And, you know, so if we could take those, we could obviously offset some of that and help there, but it just becomes a capacity issue. So what we really encourage is to be proactive about those things. You know, we can set up durable powers of attorney and things that help circumvent the guardianship process. We can set up transfers of property and even to some limited degree some trusts that get people into a place where they don't have to worry about the probate process. But unfortunately, that is just one area that we have a hard time assisting in, and I know that's not just me from the legal perspective. I mean, we work very closely with a lot of the senior service agencies, you know, the Osceola Council on Aging, Elder Source that covers Flagler, Volusia, in those counties, Elder Options that covers Marion County and over there, and I'm pretty sure that all my fellow legal aid partners work with their senior resource centers as well. And I bet you they'd probably tell you the same thing, that when it comes to the laws, when you start talking about probate and guardianship, it's real difficult to kind of navigate that and assist.
And don't forget, September 1st, they got an online clinic you can watch online. Legal advice for seniors, talk to a lawyer. So Jeffrey D. Harvey, we got about 1 minute left. What do you want to leave us with?
I think the one thing I'll leave you with is the law can be very complex, but it doesn't have to be, and that there are resources out there, whether they are just online resources from a legal aid organization like mine, or actually lawyers like I have that are ready, willing, and able to help. You know, that I think that everybody could benefit from being proactive in solving their issues, and trying, that first proactive step is trying to reach out and get some assistance on how to navigate it, because the system is complex. And I have seen many cases where people think that they know what they're doing and they actually get themselves into worse trouble. And so, you know, that would be my advice is reach out to a lawyer early and talk to them often. And hopefully, if you can't afford it, you go to the resources that are out there that can assist you.
You know, I can't thank you enough. You're doing great work. Community Legal Services, midflorida.org, clsmf.org. Jeffrey D. Harvey, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, good night. And now a word from our sponsors. OppermanReport.com. Hey, do you like what you're hearing? Do you like the work that you see us doing here at Opperman Report? You can support that work by becoming a member at OppermanReport.com. And as you have access to over 200 exclusive shows and interviews that you can't find on YouTube or Spreaker or iHeart or iTunes or KYAH. You can't find them anywhere else online, exclusive to our member sections, to our members. Also, too, there's images, videos, documents, court docs. And don't forget, you can hear your ad played here on the Opperman Report, reach hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people on a daily basis because the show is repeated every day all over the world. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com and I'll give you a good deal on advertising rates.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com. 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.